Alright, so I stopped at a little wetland area between Columbus and Starkville to collect some plants for this week's lab, for the grass lab. And I thought while I was out, I'd make a little video just to show some of the stuff that I see out here, because we can't do labs right now, and so I may as well take you on a kind of a virtual field trip. So got this really cool but sort of nasty looking canal here. Just on the other side there's a levee up here. On the other side of that levee there's a borrow pit from where they built parts of Highway 82, and it's gets filled with water, and you can actually you can duck hunt and that sort of stuff in there. A bunch of ducks and geese in there and whatnot. But anyways, got this canal around the thing. It's kind of like a moat, and I saw up here some duckweeds, so I was talking about those in class today when we were going through the monocots, and so I thought I would stop here and have a look and see who they are, make a little video. So if you remember, I told you that the difference between limna and spirodella, one of the differences is how many roots these things have. And so take a look here and see what we got. So on the bottom of that, looks like quite a bunch of roots coming out of there. Hopefully you can see that. So looks like this is probably going to be spirodella, which I was kind of thinking it was, because it's also got a little faint sort of purplish looking dot on the top of it, and that's another one or more of the species of spirodella will do that. So multiple little roots, purple dot. It's a spirodella species, and there's quite a bit of it growing here on top of this. Some little tiny things right there. Those might be, that might be a limna if I can grab it. Hard to grab these things sometimes. But yeah, that kind of, sorry, I'm looking in the wrong place. That kind of looks like that might be a limna. Not as many roots in there, and tiny little leaves compared with these other ones. So I'll put it in the water beside the spirodella if I can get it off my finger. Oh crap, where'd it go? Well, oh, there it is. Kind of disappeared. Oh, there they are, right there. Yeah. So you can kind of see the difference. Spirodella here and limna there. Spirodella also usually is a lot bigger than the limna, so there's another way you can tell them apart. So some of the duckweeds, and then come back over this way, and so here's some grass. This actually is grass, and this is one of the species that I picked to try to do for lab this week. And it's growing in clumps here in kind of this hardwood area. And interestingly enough, I didn't see this until just now. There's another species in this same genus. So there are a couple of different ones, and I'll get to those when we're doing actually keying these things out. But these are both, I think currently, I'll go ahead. I think currently they're in the genus Casmanthium. There's another genus, Uniola, and I can't remember if how those two are related. If they had been separate and then put together, or if they were together and then one had been pulled out separately. But anyway, this is Casmanthium latifolium, I believe, here, and then this is Casmanthium, and it's either, there are two species that look really like, they're like spike grasses, I think is what they're referred to as, because they have I guess these spiky inflorescences, I guess is why. But you can kind of see the little, and I'll have better pictures when we're actually at the microscope, but that's what they kind of look like, these little spiky things growing out on them, spaced out. But if you get down into the bottom of these things and start looking at the stems and all, one of the ways you can tell these two species apart from one another is one of them is just really hairy down here. I believe it's down here at the base. This one is not. So there's one that has hairs, and I think its species is Casmanthium sesamiflorum, and that has the hairs, and then there's one called Casmantium laxum, L-A-X-U-M. Curiously enough, it doesn't have the hairs, so it lacks the hairs. So Casmantium sesamiflorum has them, and Casmantium laxum lacks them. It lacks them. So that's one of the ways that I learned to tell them apart. And I mean, these definitely isn't looking like what I think of when I'm thinking of the one that has hairs. So I think this is going to be Casmantium laxum. So that's one of the species. And then it's cool. This one right here, I told you I would say this at least 50 times. One of my favorite little wetland plants. I used to have some of this growing in my backyard. It's really cool. I had a shady backyard, kind of like this. Anyway, so walk back through the woods here a little bit. Some more of the bunch of those clumps of the Casmantium, kind of growing all over the place in here. It likes these sorts of areas, these shady forest understory. I don't know what's going to show you. Also, I forgot. While I'm out here, I saw a Carex over here. So we looked at Carex in the sedges last week, and so here's one over here growing by the water. And the really cool thing on this one is you can see it's still actually flowering. So it's got the little stigmas sticking out there, and then up here would be where it would produce pollen. So those would be the staminate or staminate flowers up there, and then these would be the pistillate or pistillate flowers down here. And then later it'll, these things will mature and they'll have the little sacs that the achene will be inside. So this is a species of Carex, and it's really kind of cool because we can see it actually in flower. So there are a couple of individuals. There's one here that doesn't have the flowers on it, and then that one that does, growing right on the edge of the water. All right, so come back over here. Hopefully I'm picking up the audio on all this. So we come back up here, and somewhere back here I left my bag, and just show you the area where I picked up. I think there were 3 other. There's somebody's old Emerson TV or something sitting out here in the woods. There's my bag. Well, you can't see it because of the sun. But anyway, there's my bag. Got plants in it for this week. See the Casmantium on the top there. And then out here, this is my car. And then I grabbed the other 3 specimens just out here in this place outside the car. So that was pretty easy. And just real quick, so one was in this clump right here, running around, and so there's, you can see what it looked like before I pulled the specimens to do the lab with. And zoom in, you can see a little bit there what the flowers look like, and you see up here the little, I think that's maybe the anthers, either the anthers or the stigma. See, I don't see any, it's not getting any pollen on me, so maybe those are stigma. It's hard, my eyes kind of suck, I'm getting old, so it's hard to tell, but we'll be able to see that under the microscope. But there's one of the ones, and then another one of the ones that I picked up is this one right here. You can see that. So it's growing in these clumps, kind of like that right there. These sort of spaced out, spread out clumps. There's another one. There's some growing through here. Like there's one. You can see a bunch of these growing in this area. And then the last one that I picked was growing over here right by the car. And here's it. Get in there close on it. And I mean, looking at it, you might superficially think, wow, that looks a lot like the Carex, and it kind of does. And of course, that's one of the ways that you can sort of tell these things apart, just by the appearance of the spikes or spikelets here with the flowers, fruit, and whatnot. But that's the other specimen, and it also kind of grows in clumps, sort of like the one I showed you a second ago with the little tiny flowers on it. Where'd you go? That's not it. Where'd you go? Oh, here we go. So, see, it grows in clumps, but the clumps are a lot smaller at the base, much more compact at the base, and then you come up and then you see flowers and stuff here. So it's in clumps like this. The one that I picked up earlier was, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 times that diameter at least, the one I pulled for the lab. And then we'll come back over here, and so here you can see the base. This is where I picked one of these with the tiny little flowers and kind of the clumps that stuff grows in. There's the base of it here, what's left of this one. All right, so those are the 3, so the 3 grasses that I picked out here in the open area, and then back there in the woods I had the other one, the Casmanthium laxum.